Hello, Mr. Tucker.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure, an honor, and a privilege. We are perfectly aware of how busy you are in the fight for liberty, sound money, and proper economics. So let's jump into the very heart of the matter. Nowadays, sound economic theory very often collides with brutal and pragmatic politics. Who will turn out the winner, and will the outcome have any significant impact on our lives and businesses and overall progress?
The winner between politics and economics. Economics
Yes.
right now is already winning. And the reason has to do with digital innovation, because innovation in the digital space is taking place without permission of the nation state. And it's growing every single day. Politicians have very little control over it because of the mobile economy and because of the internet and because of software innovations that are taking place at an unbelievable pace. Even the fact that I can do this interview with you right now shows it. States don't like us talking to each other, but
Which is great.
yeah, but technology seems to be making an inroad. And the thing is that technology lasts longer than politicians. Once something has been innovated, something like cryptocurrency or the mobile app economy or cryptography, these kinds of things, they won't go away. And these innovations are taking place at an amazing pace.
Mr. Tucker, let's turn to US politics. Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, who in your mind will act more in accordance with free market principles? Trump has managed to mobilize many libertarians in his support, and it is very interesting.
Yeah, it's not clear how many libertarians actually support Donald Trump. I've been watching this whole thing transpire, and I'm not entirely sure if libertarians have actually supported Trump. I know a lot of people who call themselves libertarians have become supporters of Trump, but that's really something different. What I think we're discovering is that to be anti-leftist is not the same thing as being pro-liberty. I mean, it's something that European politics already knows, right? I mean, European politics, you have the left and you have the right, but they're both flavors of authoritarianism, really. And European libertarians already know this, but Americans are just now discovering this, unfortunately.
Normally,
so I don't know whether Trump or Hillary is going to be, which one of the two would be most friendly to liberty. That's a really hard thing to say because Trump has called for some terrible policies of surveillance. He praised the Japanese and the internment of Japanese. He actually praised it, you know. His favorite politician is FDR. He's called he's denounced Edward Snowden, said that he probably should be brought back and tried as a traitor, and all these sorts of things. So he is not a friend of liberty, but of course Hillary Clinton is not really either, as we know.
Oh, we are following very closely your articles regarding these topics. Normally, sane people tend to fear populism. Is there any variant of populism that is valuable, a useful one, which could bring about more good than harm?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I think probably there is. If it's like an anti-tax movement, that's very good. I think the anti-Federal Reserve movement that Ron Paul ignited was a good kind of populism. I think it's possible to have a pro-liberty kind of populism, but unfortunately we're not really seeing this right now. So part of the problem is that as the state's power continues to wither compared to the power of technology and the power of liberty, then the politicians who inhabit the space become ever more ridiculous, and the people who are active in politics become ever less connected to reality. It's like neither Hillary Clinton nor Donald Trump are popular in the United States. These are the least popular politicians headed into a presidential race that anybody has ever seen. We've never seen anything like this, where the two leading candidates have so many negatives in the polling. And I think that that's probably a good thing. In other words, it's going to hasten the decline of the nation state. I mean, again, I think Europe has already seen this kind of thing, where everybody knows the people who are running for office are criminals, you know, and dangerous people, And Americans, though, I mean, we have a certain naivety, as you probably know, as Americans. People always think that some politician's going to save them. I think we're becoming more sophisticated now than we used to be about this subject.
Today, we are accustomed to believe that the state protects us vigilantly and securely. How much should we rely on the state for protection of our property and lives?
Speaking from an American point of view, people have learned that this is not true. The police were supposed to protect our property and protect our lives. But in fact, they are one of the biggest threats. And now you can't even drive on anywhere and on U.S. roads and feel safe from the police. They will always be stopping you for silly reasons and taxing you, giving you tickets of $150, $250. Maybe they will examine your breath to make sure you haven't had a drink. And if they do find that you've been drinking, they can put you in jail and charge you another $2,000. If you resist them, they have no hesitation about tasing you with electric tasers and handcuffing you and even beating you. So this is not a good kind of protection. The only really kind of protection that you can depend on is provided by private markets, which is why I believe so strongly in things like private security systems, locks on your doors, detection devices on your cars, and also very important gun ownership, private gun ownership, which is still allowed and very widely practiced in the U.S. That's a really important aspect of American liberty, I have to say.
A very important topic. Let's turn to economics, Mr. Tucker. Debt addiction is the modern day diagnosis, both for governments and private sector. The interest rate is being kept down to zero across the board. Are we using this debt productively, or we are wasting scarce, valuable resources?
This policy has already been proven not to work. We saw it all throughout the 1990s in Japan. I mean, Japan knocked down its interest rates to zero, even pushed them to the negative zone. It didn't do anything to revive the economy. Japan is still in a long-lasting recession coming out of the boom of the 1980s. So the U.S. and Europe followed the same path. I mean, it's one of the strangest things that politicians and policy elites keep doing the same stupid things over and over again. Zero interest rates punish savers. I mean, it's almost impossible to make money by saving money anymore. And when you don't save, you don't develop a capital for a new investment, and you actually diminish economic growth. But one of the reasons the government does this is because it is the main debtor, I mean, so the central banks are really just trying to make things less expensive for governments. That's, I think, that's the whole purpose of zero interest rate policies. But they're not helping economic growth. It's really been catastrophic. After the recession of 2008, interest rates should have gone way up because the risk went way up. And if they had been allowed to do that, we probably would have seen a recovery by now. So this is just really bad economic thinking. It's Keynesianism all over again. And it's not going to work. And I knew that it wasn't going to work. A lot of my friends knew this. And it hasn't. It's really been very terrible. American economic growth is historically low. When you look at the figures, like over the last 100 years, we are in a very slow period of economic growth. We're not even we're not growing enough economically to match the rate of population increases, actually, which is one of the reasons Americans are so disgruntled and turning to things like authoritarian politicians.
On the other hand, some economists like Stiglitz, for instance, condemn markets and human greed for causing financial crisis. Do you share this opinion, or does it depend on how we define the market in the first place?
The crisis of 2008 was caused by the Federal Reserve in combination with the federal government because they had subsidized housing to an egregious extent and made all the banks too big to fail. It was a result of intervention. That's why that crisis took place. It had nothing to do with the markets. The markets just revealed an underlying distortion. And people who condemn the markets, it's amazing that you see even brilliant people like Stiglitz doing this because, I mean, we've learned about the value of markets over the last 500, 1,000 years. It should be it's been scientifically proven again and again and again, and it's proven every single day. Whereas as government policies have created nothing but business cycles and economic upheaval, and continue to do that. So for me, the people who speak like this are living in some sort of strange fantasy land. We really face a choice. It's either markets or a society of stupid people with guns forcing us to do stupid things. That's really the choice.
Funny choice, okay. The free markets, as we know, favor capital accumulation, thereby enhancing investments and division of labor, which gives a boost to technology, as you mentioned. Are we entering a new era of education and the expansion of ideas thanks to this virtually unlimited technological progress? The sky seems to be the limit, doesn't it? Could you expand a little bit more on that? You've already mentioned that.
Yeah. No, I mean, let me just mention two technologies that I've been playing around with recently. One is a mobile apps platform called Ethereum, which is a blockchain style technology that uses something like the Bitcoin blockchain, that allows much larger and robust scripting packages on its own separate blockchain that exists outside of Bitcoin. Within the structure, you have the ability to create, with a specialized scripting language, infinite numbers of smart contracting, things like land titles and titles to cars and ownership and marriages and everyday kind of contracting that you want to do. And it allows you to do it on a global basis so that you and I can really sign contracts with each other that are immutable and enforceable regardless of the nation state. So things like this platform are really just unbelievable. This kind of technology wasn't even available 10 years ago. Another more practical one is something like the Open Bazaar, which just went into beta about a month ago. This technology allows anyone in the whole world with an internet connection to immediately open up a store for themselves, like right now, without a bank, without anybody's permission, without any regulation, a retail shop that anybody in the world can run and sell anything. And the Open Bazaar exists on a distributed platform that can never be taken down because it's owned by the whole of humanity rather than having a central point of failure. And I just yesterday opened up a store on the Open Bazaar for the Foundation for Economic Education. It's very easy, very beautiful.
Fantastic.
It accepts only non-government money like Bitcoin. But this, to me, is the future, and it's wonderful. So what can the state do? It can slow it down, but it can't stop it. You know, when you look 10, 20 years from now, we're going to be looking at a completely different world.
Mr. Tucker, has there ever existed, or does there now exist, a libertarian country? What are the best examples currently? What concrete steps can be taken to gain freer markets than we have at the moment?
I mean, we've experienced maximum freedom in many places. I mean, I think of Europe in the High Middle Ages was a place of free immigration and widespread property ownership. The despotisms were localized, but you could always escape them. Another example of that would be the colonial America before the Revolution and after the Revolution, before the institution of the Constitution. It was basically an anarchist-style arrangement. But really, I have written many times that anarchy is all around us. I mean, I'm speaking to you from Atlanta. There's 2 square miles in the middle of Atlanta that the city once owned, and it kept doing stupid things like building public housing, building big city government tax-funded monuments and things, and nothing worked. It was just full of crime. And finally, they sold it to a private investor. Now, right in the heart of Atlanta, we have a full community with private police, private streets, private shops, and apartment units. It's like anarchism, really, as I conceive of it. And I think this probably is. I know it's going on all over the United States. It's like a quiet secession movement that's acknowledging the failure of the state. So I don't know, this is probably also going on in Europe. I don't know. I know it's going on in Latin America with the development of free cities and these kind of privately owned spaces. It's, you know, I really think we're seeing the devolution of the old style nation state gradually in a little bit of time without much attention. I try to cover it myself. I think it's really an interesting topic to see the kind of collapse of one paradigm and its replacement by another one.
Sounds great, Mr. Tick. Thank you so much for this enjoyable, informative, and I'd say very timely interview. Keep up the great work you are doing, and please be aware that your example is being followed and appreciated here in Bulgaria as well. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, my friend. All right, all the best.
Thank you so much.